yesterday I was discussing on YouTube the debate between Rabbi Singer and Professor Solberg that happened in Nashville last weekend. And I got this comment from this is a Jewish man who is a Christian. He uses the word believer. I assume he identifies as a Christian, messianic, whatever. Um, he said, actually, without New Testament, Tanakh crumbles like a house of cards with unfulfilled prophecies. That's why you see the brightest Jewish minds being either atheists or believers for the most part. I'm Steve Perry. This is Biblical Anarchy, and I found this comment to be absolutely fascinating. Um, the brightest Jewish minds are atheists or believers because without the New Testament, Tanakh crumbles like a house of cards with unfulfilled prophecies. Now, this, of course, pick your prophecy. I mean, you could do this with any prophecy. I decided to use Zechariah 9, starting in verse 9. Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Shout for joy, O daughter of Jerusalem, for behold, your king will come to you. Righteous and victorious is he, a humble man, riding on a donkey upon a foal, a calf of she donkeys. Now, this Jesus fulfilled, perhaps, I don't know how much of this you want to read as a prophecy. Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion, shout for joy, O daughter of Jerusalem. Now, is this prophesying that when the Messiah comes on a donkey, people will rejoice and shout for joy? If so, you have the triumphal entry. Or is he saying to the people of his day, I want you to rejoice and shout for joy, for behold, your king will come to you, is what he says. So it seems like he's telling the people of his day. But I'll grant you the triumphal entry if that's the way you interpret it. That would be fulfilled by Jesus. He did indeed ride a donkey and a foal of a she donkey. If you go with Matthew, Luke, of course, has him on one animal. Matthew, it seems, has him on two animals. But he rode a donkey into Jerusalem. There you go. Now, let's continue on. I will eliminate any battle chariot from Ephraim and any war horse from Jerusalem, and the bow of warfare will be eliminated. Now, again, depends on how you read this prophecy, that Ephraim would be the northern kingdom and Jerusalem would be the southern kingdom. So he said, it seems to me, just my interpretation, that you'll have a united Israel kingdom. This implies that the northern tribes have been brought back because remember, Ephraim, one of the northern tribes. So I will eliminate any battle chariot from Ephraim and any war horse from Jerusalem. So it seems like they will be a united kingdom and they'll be at peace. It says, and the bow of warfare will be eliminated. Now remember, this is poetry here, so it's repeating these things, right? So when you get a humble man riding on a donkey, upon a foal, a calf of she donkeys, that's one animal. When you get, I will eliminate any battle chariot from Ephraim and any war horse from Jerusalem, and the bow of war will be eliminated, and he will speak peace to the nations, right? So this is one of the things that he brought up in his reply to me. He will speak peace to the nations. Doesn't mean, well, it's kind of a poetry. He's saying the same thing twice. So the bow of warfare will be eliminated. There will be peace. And he will speak peace to the nations. So it's not just peace like in Jerusalem and for Jerusalem. It's peace for the nations. Did this happen when Jesus came? Did he? Okay, maybe you don't want to say he unites or brings back the lost tribes. Maybe you say I'm reading that into the prophecy. But certainly you have the northern kingdom and southern kingdom, both influenced by Jesus into a peaceful state of existence. And they're at peace with the world, who also seems to be at peace. His dominion will be from sea to sea and from the river to the ends of the earth. Was Jesus the king of Israel and from sea to sea with dominions to the end of the earth? This didn't happen. And you, though the blood through the blood of your covenant, I will have released your prisoners from the pit in which there is no water. Return to the fortress, O prisoners of hope. Today, too, a second announcement: I will return to you. So, you know, what of this other than? Now, follow me here. You have prophecies that are falsifiable and prophecies that are unfalsifiable. These first two, if we take them as two, right? Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion, shout for joy, O daughter of Jerusalem. Well, I guess you could argue that Jesus fulfilled this with the triumphal entry, but anytime the people rejoice, like if a celebrity comes to Jerusalem and people show up to welcome them to the city, that would fulfill this prophecy. It's completely unfalsifiable. Likewise, your king will come to you. Now, think about this. Your king will come to you. In the Christian interpretation, they call Jesus king and therefore say he is the king. But was he the king? No. I mean, you had other kings in the land during his lifetime. So he wasn't the king. But your king will come to you, righteous and victorious is he, a humble man riding upon a donkey. Now, he would be righteous, victorious. Well, again, Christians say he's victorious over sin and death, yet everybody's still sinning and dying, so I'm not sure how that works out. But, again, but he was a humble man. He was righteous, and he was riding upon a donkey. So I'll grant you that. Even though all these things go against it, I will grant you that, but again, it's completely unfalsifiable. As a matter of fact, I challenge you to do this. Google images, search Joseph and Mary go to Bethlehem under images, and you'll see a bunch of different paintings of Jesus or Joseph and Mary going to Bethlehem, and she's on a donkey. Like, it's just a natural assumption that if you're traveling in those days, you're probably riding a donkey. You can go to the story, no donkey. Go to every painting, donkey. People presume you're riding. It's not falsifiable. But then we get falsifiable stuff. I will eliminate the battle chariot from Ephraim and the war horse from Jerusalem. Now, to me, this is kind of a reference back to the donkey. That's why he's on a donkey, because they're not at war. But that aside, did Jesus do this? No, he didn't. Did he speak peace to the nations and warfare and eliminate warfare? No, he didn't. Was his dominion from sea to sea and from the river to the ends of the earth? I mean, if you mean it in some esoteric way, I guess Christians would say yes. But he wasn't a king who had dominion over all these lands. It just, none of this stuff happened. So I understand, like, if he is a Christian, Messianic Jew, whatever he is, like, he has to understand, yes, you're going to say second coming. The point is, none of these have been fulfilled other than the donkey, right? The things that are falsifiable. So if I'm sitting there and I'm, let's say, an intelligent Jewish person, I believe he said intelligent, and I'm looking at my options and I go, well, gee, I don't know. When does Zechariah live? Like 520 something, in that range. So at the time that Jesus came, at the time of the crucifixion, they've been waiting 550 years. But since Jesus came, you've been waiting 2,000 years, right? Like, how does Christianity resolve this problem? Now, I grant you, this could be a problem if you're looking at especially Orthodox Judaism. I know in Reform Judaism, a lot of people say, the Messiah, it's more of a messianic age. It's not a guy coming. It's going to happen eventually. It'll happen when it happens. Let's not rush things. We don't really need to build a temple, etc. But from an Orthodox Jewish perspective, yeah, I can see a person sitting there going, this is a problem. It's been 2,500 years. But I cannot imagine that same person saying, oh, wait, well, Jesus came? Well, then it's only been 2,000 years. Sure, let's keep on waiting. Not only that, in my opinion, my humble opinion, when you get to the New Testament and Jesus says, some of you will still be alive when the Son of Man returns in judgment. Some of you still standing here will not taste death. when you go to the end of the book of John and they're trying to explain why John died, when believers, not atheists, not pagans, but believers had spread the story that John was going to live until Jesus returned. Well, now he's dead. Why? Do you honestly think that whoever wrote that in the last chapter of John was sitting there thinking that John was going to live for 2,000 years? When Peter, I believe it's in Second Peter, writes and says, Jesus has been delayed. Scoffers are going to mock because they're going to say the fathers are all dead. Well, the fathers, the sons, the grandsons, the great great grandsons are all dead. Like, I understand Peter saying, well, he's been delayed. He's just giving more of you the opportunity to get saved. But meanwhile, everybody from that generation is dead and gone. And generation after generation has died and gone. And the world has never been like 60% Christian. Like, as long as you are less than 50% Christian, by delaying the coming to save more souls, you are by definition sending more souls to hell than to heaven, right? You might be saving some souls, but you're damning more to hell with the delay. Do you honestly think that Peter thought, or whoever wrote Second Peter, thought that the generation that he was talking to was going to be waiting 1,900 years plus, right? I mean, you add failed prophecies or prophecies that have not yet been fulfilled into the mix, and you fulfill a couple minor prophecies. The guy's going to come on a donkey. Oh, great. You're not really solving this problem with Christianity. I just have a hard time imagining that a highly intelligent Jewish person who has looked at the evidence and says, guys, we've been waiting 2,500 years, or if you want to go all the way back to the time of the Exodus, 3,500 years, roughly, 3,200 years, wherever you want to put the Exodus. I don't think it's going to happen. That his fears would be alleviated by going to Christianity, which, by the by, also hasn't had these prophecies fulfilled. They talk about a second coming, or they say they're fulfilled in some esoteric way, where we call Jesus king, therefore he's a king. He said, like, whoever believes in me won't die, but he really meant you won't go to hell. And we turn everything Jesus said into some esoteric thing, where in Matthew, Mark, and Luke, he's bringing the kingdom of heaven to earth. In John, it's already too late by this point. It's 90, 60 years have gone by. A lot of people have died. So we turn it into this esoteric heaven where you die and go there. We do all these things to cover up the failed prophecies in Christianity. Again, okay, Christians going to say they're not failed. They just haven't happened yet. Wouldn't the Jewish person say the same thing? It's not a failed prophecy. It's just that the Messiah hasn't come yet. As a matter of fact, they do, because that's Rabbi Singer's position from the debate in Nashville on Tuesday, or on Saturday, Sunday, whenever it was, last week, this week, Sunday, whatever. It's difficult to imagine that a Jewish person who had that concern would look to Christianity and go, I thought for a second this stuff wasn't actually going to happen. Am I wrong? If so, leave a comment down below. If you enjoy the video, give it a thumbs up, share it on social media, subscribe to the channel, whatever you do. Don't just sit there, do something.